Number 10. Mouse Murder. 23-year-old Naomi Anderson wept in court as she claimed that the person who had been indicted on charges of animal cruelty was a deeply troubled individual just looking for attention. That person being Naomi herself. But what did she do? In July of 2011, Anderson bought a mouse from a local pet store. She then decapitated the mouse in a now-deleted video posted on Facebook. In the video, Naomi calmly decapitates the mouse using a kitchen knife. She then recorded the poor creature for 40 seconds as it died. She uploaded the sick video under the alias Shabella King. On the profile, she made some extremely bizarre statements, describing herself as a Satanist and saying she liked to, quote, regularly engage in blood drinking. What the heck? Naomi suffered from dissociative personality disorder, aka split personalities, something her legal team tried to argue in court to get her sentence reduced. The court listened to the case, but were largely unsympathetic, calling the act aberrant and repugnant. In spite of this, the woman received a minimum sentence of 18 months probation and 180 hours worth of community service instead of a conviction. Animal activists argue that she'd gotten off with a slap on the wrist. Naomi was ordered by the magistrate not to purchase another animal for the next 2 years. She would also have to regularly update the magistrate with psychological evaluations. Number 9. Breakfast Bet. 16-year-old Joshua Davies lured his ex-girlfriend to a secluded place and beat her to death. Why? To win a stupid bet that he had made with a friend on Facebook about getting some free breakfast. Joshua Davies only dated Rebecca Aylward for about 3 months. Her family seemed to like him okay, and everything seemed pretty normal. They were just a couple of teenagers caught up in the heat of their first major relationship. But after they broke up, things got weird. Rebecca really wanted to get back together with Joshua, but little did she know that he had been bragging to friends on Facebook that he was going to murder her. He even made a bet to get a free breakfast if he really went through with it. Obviously, he didn't think things through. Teenagers aren't the sharpest tools in the shed after all. Joshua reached out and asked Rebecca if she wanted to go on a date. Rebecca thought that they might get back together, and she was pretty excited about it. She went shopping for a new outfit to impress him, completely unaware that it would be the last date she would ever have. Joshua took her into the woods and tried to break her neck. When she screamed and tried to get away, he picked up a rock and bashed her skull in with it. He just left her face down in the rain to be found hours later. Afterwards, when Joshua was telling his friends online, he said the worst part of it all was seeing her skull literally cave in. He was given the juvenile equivalent of life in prison, ordered to serve a minimum of 14 years, all because he thought he could get some free bacon and eggs. Number 8. Oops. A man from Missouri was arrested because he forgot to hide a giant bag of meth in a picture that he uploaded on Facebook. The guy was obviously not very bright. Not only did he leave a bag of methamphetamine on the table in the background of this picture, he also left a syringe, a spoon, and what looked like other paraphernalia for weighing and bagging drugs. There was also a pistol that he was legally not allowed to own in the picture too. But why did this guy post such an obvious picture of his illegal activities? This individual, James Kurtz, wasn't trying to get arrested. He was actually trying to sell a catalytic. He took a photograph of the object he was trying to sell, but in the picture on the coffee table was a mini meth lab. Someone sent the photo to police, and authorities were able to get a search warrant to look around his house. They discovered 48 grams of meth. Maybe you don't know how much that is, so let me assure you it's way too much for one single person to have. It's an absolutely absurd amount. Number 7. Hiring a hitman on Facebook. In July of 2010, an unnamed woman approached police claiming she'd just been raped. The woman told police that she got drunk at a party and was sexually assaulted by another partygoer. This partygoer was 19-year-old Corey Christian Adams. Police in Westchester, Pennsylvania apprehended the suspect and brought him in for questioning. The woman claimed that Adams had offered to drive her home, but after she passed out at some point, Adams started cutting open her pants with a knife. The woman regained consciousness temporarily while he was committing the act and repeatedly told Adams no. After police revealed that there were charges levied against him for the crime, an infuriated Adams took to Facebook to vent out his frustration. However, instead of posting a rant, Adams posted an ad for a hitman. "I got 500 on a girl's head. Who wants that bread? And hit me up any way possible." An undercover detective decided to track Adams' activity regarding the post and contacted him for the job. Adams went on to set a meeting with the detective, but never showed up. He then added another post stating that he needed the girl, quote, knocked off right now. Adams accepted a plea agreement which carries an 11 to 22-year state prison sentence, followed by 3 years of probation on charges of rape, criminal solicitation of murder, and other counts. Number 6. For sale. 2 siblings, a 2-year-old and a 10-month-old, have been placed in Oklahoma State custody after their mother allegedly tried to sell the pair on Facebook. The woman, Misty Van Horn, contacted a potential, quote, buyer for the purchase of her 2-year-old, the price of the child being $1,000. Van Horn allegedly wrote, quote, just come to Sallisaw and you can have her, the child, for $1,000 plus all of her things, but I need the money before next week. The mother went on to offer her 10-month-old infant for sale too, saying you can have both for $4,000. Van Horn was arrested by the Sallisaw police after an acquaintance reported the situation to the Department of Human Services. The 22-year-old mother of 2 was arrested in March of 2013 by the Sallisaw police for child trafficking and placed on $40,000 bond. People who knew her reported that this wasn't the first time that Van Horn had tried to auction off her children. She tried to sell her kids off for a quick buck on multiple occasions. Misty Van Horn claimed that she needed the money urgently to bail her boyfriend out of jail, as his bail was set at $1,000. We think both should stay in jail for a while. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Number 5. Relationship status. Quote, if I can't have her, no one else can either, because I'd kill her first. End quote. This is what a witness testified they heard Brian Lewis, 31, say in regards to his common-law wife, 26-year-old Haley Jones. Lewis and Haley shared a home in Cardiff with their 4 children. On May 26, 2009, Lewis stabbed and strangled Haley. He then made a call to alert emergency medical services before fleeing the scene and leaving her body there for her kids to find. Lewis claimed to not have been involved with his wife's murder at all, but witness testimonies revealed that the couple had been having some trouble in their relationship for a while. Lewis had lost his job earlier that year, and Haley, who had been a homemaker while Lewis worked, took up a job as a caretaker to support the family. Friends said that Lewis became increasingly suspicious and jealous after his wife spent hours on Facebook every day. Haley had planned on expanding her social horizons, but Lewis wasn't fond of that idea. The woman would then do so in secret, which led to fights between the two. It all came to a head when Haley changed her relationship status on the site from married to single. Lewis and Haley got into an argument which led to a physical altercation. Lewis claimed that Haley threw a couple of punches at him and he simply retaliated. The stabbing was later revealed to have been non-fatal, but Lewis continued to strangle Haley until she eventually died from asphyxiation. Haley Jones was found by her kids after Lewis fled the scene. Lewis had been jailed on charges of manslaughter. Haley's mother reported that Lewis had contacted the family multiple times in desperate attempts to rekindle his relationship with his children, but she just wants him to leave them alone. Number 4. Facebook confession. Randy Jansen made perhaps the worst confession on Facebook ever. We've all seen people write some pretty crazy things in Facebook posts, but Randy really took it to the next level. He wrote about how he murdered his 19-year-old daughter, his wife, and his own sister. He wasn't joking either, he really did it. Randy said in a post that he killed his daughter so that she wouldn't have to suffer from depression anymore, and he killed his wife because he said a mother should never have to know that their baby died. And as for his sister, he admitted that he killed her so she wouldn't have to live with the shame of knowing what her brother did. Clearly, Randy was nuts. The murders took place near Vancouver, Canada. Randy shot all of them. In his crazy Facebook post, Randy wrote that his family is now, quote, pain-free and in heaven. He even used kiss emojis, which seemed really inappropriate, all things considered. But before police could track this guy down, he was already dead. His house had caught fire, went up in flames, and Randy's charred corpse was found in his bed. Karma? Number 3. High school flight. In 2019, a mother from Louisiana was arrested for sharing a video of her son getting into a fight at his local high school. According to the Scott Police Department, Megan Atkins Barris posted the disturbing video of her son getting beat up on Facebook after he sent her the video. She wasn't even there, and her kid didn't even try to hide what happened. In the video, you can clearly see Megan's son getting punched in the face so hard by another student that he falls to the ground, cracking his head on a concrete bench. We aren't sure what exactly the kids were fighting over, but they too were arrested and charged with misdemeanor offenses. The mom was charged with unlawful posting of criminal activity. In the state of Louisiana, you're not allowed to post crime videos on social media, even if the crime is a fistfight at your kid's high school. Number 2. The FOUAD MOURTADA affair. There are more accounts on Facebook than there are people on Earth. Some people create multiple accounts for themselves for one reason or another, and others create fake accounts for very specific reasons. A court in Morocco found that FOUAD MOURTADA was guilty of a villainous act after he created a fake profile. But why was Mourtada's case sensationalized? Well, he created a fake account impersonating Prince Moulay Rashid of Morocco, the brother of King Mohammed VI of Morocco. Mourtada, an engineer, was convicted February 23, 2008 for a charge that landed him 3 years in prison plus an additional 10,000 dirhams in damages. FOUAD stated that he created the account in January of 2008 solely because he admired the prince. His lawyer claimed that FOUAD was being incriminated for something that was very commonplace. FOUAD stated that he was kidnapped, blindfolded, interrogated, persecuted, slapped, spat on, and beaten for hours with a tool on his head and the legs until he lost consciousness several times and the notion of time. Activists protested when he was incarcerated and petitioned for his release. On the evening of March 18, 2008, FOUAD was released by a royal pardon after spending 43 days in jail. Number 1. Friend request. Medhani Tesfamariam Barhe. Try saying that name 3 times fast. Spent 3 years in jail in Italy for a crime he didn't commit. While unfortunate situations like this aren't unheard of, what really shocked people was that Barhe served jail time over mistaken identity and a Facebook friend request. Medhani Yedhigo Mered, also known as the General, was a wanted man in Palermo for several crimes, including human trafficking. The man wanted by Italian police was living comfortably in Africa, but Barhe was the one who served his time. The entire ordeal occurred after Barhe sent Mered's wife a friend request over Facebook. Police found this activity suspicious, but Barhe just thought she was pretty. Police apprehended the 32-year-old milkman and occasional carpenter on charges of human trafficking based on a case of mistaken identity. Barhe was made to stand trial under Mered's name, and was even assigned a prison number under his identity as well. He'd have spent the next 14 years in prison doing another man's time if he hadn't been acquitted of all charges by a judge in Sicily. Medhani Tesfamariam Barhe recounted several instances where he wanted to end his life. However, he never let go of hope, and in 2019, Barhe walked out of a prison as a free man for a crime he didn't commit after 3 years of being incarcerated. Thanks for watching. What's the worst thing you've seen on Facebook? Tell us about it in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time on The Bad Badger.